And letting go of fear is the key thing. And when you get to that point where you're observing your mind and you're observing your emotions instead of being them, it's amazing how fear, and I can only talk for myself and talking to other people who've been through it, fear starts to leave you. Because what is there to fear when you've reached that point, not only of realization, but of observing the world from a point of view of that which is always has been, always will be, infinite consciousness, eternal consciousness, which is what we are. The other thing that it holds us in servitude is insecurity. How many people are always put a mask to the world? It's not who they really are. It's what they think other people think they should be. So instead of putting ourselves to the world, we put this mask to the world that we think is acceptable to the world. Consciousness does not do insecurity, and it certainly doesn't do putting masks on to fulfill other people's perceptions of what you should be. Consciousness is all possibility. It is all potential. You know, people think about, one consciousness, and they think, oh, that means, yeah, I'm one consciousness, yeah, I'm one consciousness, I'm one consciousness. If it's some clone-like state, consciousness, in the firm that I'm talking about, at the infinite level of us, is all possibility. Therefore, when we celebrate our uniqueness and celebrate our diversity and celebrate the diversity and uniqueness of each other, we are celebrating the fact that we are infinite consciousness, because we're celebrating all possibility. What happens is when we get caught in mind, that's when you get the clone. Yeah, I'm mind. Yeah, I'm mind. Yes, I'm mind. All the bloody clones line up, all look the same and all the rest of it, and speak the same and think the same. That's mind. So, celebrating uniqueness and being conscious are the same things. And that's why if you look, the more mind has taken over, the more this earth has become more and more uniform. And as we become more and more conscious, we will be celebrating diversity, and diversity will start to return in the way we live our lives. The key thing to breaking the spell is breaking out of belief systems. It's a good question. What would consciousness do? How would consciousness see this? Well, like I said earlier, consciousness doesn't do religion, because religion is a mind phenomenon that sees everything in terms of apartness and rules and regulations and all the rest of it. Consciousness doesn't do that. So religion's out. If we are going to be conscious, then religion's gone. Politics, well, consciousness vote? I mean, what's going on? Consciousness doesn't do belief systems like politics, so that's gone, that belief system. Race, it doesn't do race. You know, the human form is just a vehicle for consciousness to experience this reality. It doesn't do my genetic spacesuit is better than yours, and because yours is a different color or comes from a different background, I'm better than you, and I'm the master race, or I'm the chosen race, and all the rest of it. Consciousness doesn't do that. Mind does that. When we think in those terms, we're in mind, not consciousness. And self-identity. If we have a self-identity that says, I am my body, and I am my name, and that is me, that is who I am, we're in mind. When we say my name and my body and my life is my experience, the experience of my consciousness, then we're recognizing who we really are, which is consciousness having an experience.
Yep. Why do you think these people see the media as being so important? You know, the reality is quite different. You know, the media isn't really important. It's how we use it. It's how we view it. You know, the reality is that we, as a society, in this hypnotized and almost catatonic and comatose state, we have given our free will for everything that's going on. We've given our free will consent to the state the planet is in today. Most people in modern societies, I mean, you know, we saturate our minds with all sorts of unhealthy things that are not good for us. I mean, things that are served up for us on television. And people are quite addicted to their televisions. Most people spend their time consuming violence, pornography, greed, selfishness, hatred, you know, incessant bad news and fear and terror. I mean, when was the last time a lot of people out there just stopped and thought about something really, really beautiful and really pure? something wonderful that really warms your heart and puts that energy into the field. When was the last time you stopped and did that? The planet is the way it is because of our collective thoughts about the planet. And those people out there who don't affect positive change, they are complicit in their inaction. And every time you look the other way when you see an injustice, your thought at the subconscious level of creation to the Creator is your allowance of these things to occur. And in so doing, you're serving the wrong purpose. Those who think violent thoughts against those whom they perceive to be the rulers of this world, be careful what you wish for, folks, because all thoughts and words are creative. And there was a statement I read somewhere, I'm not sure who it was by, that said, in order to choose the positive path, at least 51% of our thoughts and actions must be dedicated to the service of others. But for the negative path, at least 95% of our thoughts and actions must be directed towards self-service. And between those 2 points lies the sinkhole of indifference. And it's truly a sinkhole, folks. Indifference is the vein of consciousness, to lead you down a path of repetition that becomes ever more negative. It's the will to serve self, and it becomes ever more negative and polarized. Because negativity is necessary, folks. It's very important, for without negativity, there can be no positivity. And without the negative, there can't be the positive. It's all about free will and freedom of choice, my friends. And if negativity did not exist, there would be no choice, because there would be nothing for us to choose between. It's all about service to self or service to others. That's the whole thing about this life, service to self or service to others. Do the right thing in all that you do, or do what is right for you personally. That's the choice, folks. And it's a pretty easy choice to make once you begin to understand this sort of thing. I choose service to others. And I don't try to wake up people to the reality of these things out of fear. I don't try to wake people up to what's going on in the world because I'm worried about the future. I do it because I love you. I do it because I love you all. I truly do. I've never met a person that I didn't love, even the most negative. Some people will just say these are evil people. I don't see them as evil. I see them as polarized. And it's necessary for them to be that way. Otherwise they wouldn't be that way. Because having... these polarized energies in the world is the only way that consciousness can ascend into something more positive.
So can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that your brain is literally changed to look like the event has already happened? Neuroscience says it's absolutely possible. Now, your personality creates your personal reality. That's it. It's that simple. And your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. So the present personality who's sitting here today, you, has created the present personal reality called your life. Would you agree? Would you also agree then, if you wanted to create a new personal reality, that on a fundamental level you would have to change the thoughts that you are thinking, the behaviors and habits that you're demonstrating, and the emotions that you've memorized that's become part of your identity? And most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it never works. We have to become somebody else. So then, as you keep thinking the same thoughts, performing the same actions, and living by the same experiences that produce the same emotions, there's a principle in neuroscience that says nerve cells that fire together wire together. And if you keep repeating the same states of mind and body over and over again, your brain begins to find... fire in the same sequences, in the same patterns and same combinations. And whenever you make your brain work in a certain way, that's called mind. Mind is the brain in action. So as you remind yourself every day who you think you are, you're causing your brain to fire in the exact same ways. And as they fire and wire in the same patterns over time, the brain moves into a very finite signature, and that's called your personality. Now, that box in your brain isn't literally a box, but it's the most commonly wired, neurologically fired programs that... run redundantly because we keep doing the same things over and over again. To change your mind, then, is to make the brain work in new sequences and new patterns and new combinations, to begin to make the brain work differently. And the one ingredient that allows us to do that is knowledge or information. Because every time you learn something new, you make a new connection in your brain. That's what learning is. Learning is forging new connections. Remembering is maintaining or sustaining those connections. So now, every time you have a thought, you make a chemical. And if you have a great thought, or an unlimited thought, or a joyful thought, you turn on a set of circuits in your brain that fires in a very specific sequence, pattern, and combination that produces a level of mind that turns on another part of the brain that makes a chemical for you to begin to feel exactly the way you were just thinking. Great or unlimited or joyful.